In the wake of September the 11th, President George W. Bush warned about the axis of evil threatening the nation. Now a new axis is forming off our shores that poses a dire threat to America and the world. Take a look.
The Obama administration has made it a priority to reach out to our enemies, but our enemies are reaching out to each other, forging ties that are bringing terrorism closer to our shores and moving Iran steadily towards its goal of becoming a nuclear superpower.
There clearly is an axis developing between Venezuela and Iran primarily, but then lately Syria has been added to that axis.
What you're seeing here is another axis of evil, akin to the Iraq, Iran, North Korea axis.
Over the past few years, Venezuela, Iran, and Syria have formed increasingly close ties that serve to strengthen the three terror-sponsoring states and bolster their ambitions. Venezuela is not designated by the State Department as a sponsor of terrorism, but it has been widely reported that the Chavez government funds the FARC terror group, which kidnapped 3 American citizens back in 2003. Venezuelan strongman Hugo Chavez now plays an instrumental role in helping Iran obtain nuclear weapons, and Iran's Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is making Chavez a presence in world affairs.
Chavez is a megalomaniac who has global ambitions, and working with the Iranians who also have global ambitions is very handy for him, because it projects him right onto that stage.
With Venezuela's help, Iran is purchasing the material it needs to build a nuclear warhead, despite the sanctions imposed on it by the international community.
Iran is not in a position at this point by itself to pay its suppliers of nuclear technology, because that would involve going through U.S. banks. So Venezuelan banks are now the vehicle through which Iran is able to bypass the embargo.
One branch of Iran's development bank now sits in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas to facilitate these transactions.
This way, with Chavez in the middle, he can do their work for them and then handle the money-taking commissions at both ends, so everybody gains.
Venezuela is also supplying Iran with something even more valuable.
There is an important reserve of uranium in the north of Venezuela, about 50,000 tons probably, that Iran is now able to tap.
So perhaps it is no coincidence that Iran has erected a series of factories in this uranium-rich area of Venezuela.
It's very troubling that Iran has established some factories. A lot of people estimate that these factories are cover for armaments, and that these ties, these so-called economic ties between Iran and Venezuela, or perhaps Syria and Venezuela, hide support for terrorism.
Those suspicions are grounded in an event that occurred in December of 2008. That's when Turkey intercepted an Iranian ship bound for Venezuela. Aboard the ship were 22 containers labeled tractor parts, and inside authorities found equipment capable of producing explosives. While the Iranians attempt to export their arms by sea, a mysterious plane flight is allowing them to funnel their personnel directly into South America.
Several times a week there is a flight that goes from Tehran to Damascus to Caracas. And the people who get off that plane, we don't know who they are.
They are taken to the military terminal at the international airport in Venezuela, where it is alleged that a lot of terrorists are coming in from the Middle East and from Eastern Europe, coming into Venezuela and then dispersing throughout South America.
Syria and Iran may be sending their terrorists west, but Venezuela is also helping to finance terrorism in the Middle East. That's where Syria comes in. The country, led by Bashar al-Assad, is functionally under the control of Iran, its territory used to plan and facilitate Iranian-backed terrorist operations in Lebanon and around the world.
The Syria-Iran piece of it mostly has to do with military and terrorist operations in the Middle East, because Hezbollah is an Iranian creation, and Iran runs the organization, but Syria controls the territory.
Syria, and through it, Iran, are among the world's leading supporters and sponsors of terror. In November 2008, when Lebanese terrorist Samir Kantar was released from an Israeli prison, Assad awarded him the Syrian government's Medal of Honor. Kantar perpetrated one of the most brutal terror attacks in Israeli history, murdering an Israeli policeman in front of his 4-year-old daughter, then crushing the little girl's skull. Today, though, Syria is facing a new problem. Its oil production has declined nearly 40% over the last decade. Now Hugo Chavez has intervened to build it back up. Now, President Assad made his first visit to Caracas last month. While there, he ratified a pact to construct an oil refinery in Syria with the help of Iran.
If Chavez is in a position to fund the oil industry, and that oil industry serves directly or indirectly to fund terrorist organizations that are backed by Syria and through Syria by Iran, then clearly the implications of the alliance between Syria and Iran on the one hand and Venezuela on the other go far beyond the specific countries involved, and they affect the entire Middle Eastern area.
The Obama administration, for its part, has been silent about this emerging axis.
There's no real strategy, no real plan, no real overall vision for the relationship between the United States and the rest of the Western Hemisphere.
The president and Hugo Chavez shared a warm embrace at last year's Summit of the Americas. Shortly thereafter, Middle East envoy George Mitchell visited Damascus to convey the administration's desire to negotiate.
The United States is committed to a dialogue based on mutual interest and mutual respect.
President Obama made negotiating with Iran a priority from the outset.
We know that you are a great civilization, and your accomplishments have earned the respect of the United States and the world. My administration is now committed to diplomacy that addresses the full range of issues before us and to pursuing constructive ties among the United States, Iran, and the international community.
But the new access threatening the United States suggests the administration's tactics may need revision.
Iranians have rebuffed the open hand that the president extended in his inaugural address. The Syrians continue to support terrorism around the world, and Venezuela is openly disdainful of the Obama administration. And I think all of these regimes, and unfortunately other American adversaries around the world as well, see the Obama administration as weak, and they're planning to and are trying to take advantage of it.
The administration appears to be at a loss for any other policy, since they thought, I suppose, by virtue of their goodwill, that these radicals would sit down with them and lay down their weapons or change their stripes.
If the relationship between these nations continues to grow, the consequences for American national security could be very grave indeed.
So you have a lot of expertise, a lot of money, and a lot of nastiness, and it really is an axis of evil.